Welcome to the Connor Green Podcast. This is episode number 2. I'm here with my co-host,
Paola Osorio.
And today we're going to pick up where we left off in episode 1. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about we'll call it the aftermath of the first podcast, which is only a couple days because we are waiting to get it approved to be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and other hosting locations.
You said it takes up to 2 weeks.
It takes up to 2 weeks. So we did our podcast. We uploaded it, put it online, so you can go to the website and watch it. And we're at 16 downloads so far.
I know. It's exciting.
In just a couple of days, which is really good for us. And we're not doing this to see how many downloads we can possibly get. But it was very, very encouraging to see that more people than just Paola and I were interested.
Yeah.
We also were listening to the podcast over and over again, trying to figure out what we could do better. Like the intro, which I think I bombed pretty bad. We bombed pretty bad. I guess I'll take...
no, I was awkward too.
I'll take most of the blame because if you listen to it, it's welcome everybody to the Connor Green Podcast. I'm here with my host. My host. It sounds like a parasite or something. Like I'm a parasite. You're my host. So we wanted to make sure to fix that and get better. The other thing that's cool, I think, is we've come into contact with a friend of ours that makes video content. And that's really what we need. I don't have the time between the businesses I have going and the job that I have. Paola has a demanding job and everything and doesn't have
I don't even have the knowledge.
I was just going to say the skill set. So we're really, really hoping, we really want to bring longer form podcasts and regular YouTube videos and reels and IGTV and everything out.
Right.
So that way we can really take the different topics and we can have,
explore them.
Yeah. And we can have, instead of having to listen to the whole podcast, we can just break down 10 minutes on X, right? And you can just listen to that or just watch that video, right? I think that's about everything, right?
Yeah, but it's exciting. I know that we were talking about, he has some ideas. We are going to meet Monday.
Yeah.
And record some stuff. So that'll be exciting. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you for downloading. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us, because it's just Connor and I.
Yep.
Shooting the shit.
Just,
but not really.
Just recording the same conversations we've always been having.
And we had one even this morning.
It was like, this needs to be on the podcast. We should be recording this right now.
And when we met with the video editor, he said, he goes, you just need to put up a camera, whether it be the phone or, so you might even get some like everyday stuff, kind of what we do and a day in the life of Connor and then in the life of me. Cause I always think I'm like this goofy person who's all over the place.
You are.
But then in reality, I have to go into like boss mode when I'm at work, because
you could have a reality show for your job.
You totally could.
You really could.
So many things happen. I mean, obviously I can't disclose them, most of them, but some of them, you can know names. I can talk about them, but I have to put on like boss lady hat and kind of leave my goofiness to the side. So it's kind of a nice little back and forth. But that'd be even cool to kind of see. But no, we're excited. I'm really excited. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I'm fairly ambitious. So one of my major goals for this year is to really pump out content, solid content. In my head, I'm like, let's do 1,000 unique pieces of content this year. A little over 3 a day. But in my head, it keeps going, that's not big enough. That's not big enough. Like, think bigger. 2,000 pieces of content. So,
guys, we would force Connor to put himself out there. You don't get it. He just didn't. I don't know. Did you not like seeing yourself, or was it intimidating for you?
It's a really good question. I've dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome.
Okay.
And there's something, we can dig into this on other podcasts. There was something about putting myself out there onto the internet and some experiences that I had in high school or college, or the way that I viewed myself or the way that I viewed other people, that really prevented me from sharing. And I would put huge amounts of time into helping people, reading, learning, just consuming huge amounts of content on how do I live a better life, and then how do I help other people live a better life. which is an incredible cause to have and to believe in and to feel compelled to do, strongly compelled, like hard to sleep at night compelled, wakes me up in the morning excited every single day compelled, right? And in person, unreal amounts of confidence do I have, right? And always had. The internet, social media was just different. I felt like I had to sell out or sell my soul or be different or look different or say different things or fit a certain mold or just my value was in person. And if what I had to realize, one, is I don't care what anybody thinks anymore, which is tremendous because I went from not caring what people thought to caring too much to now I think I'm in the middle.
Excuse me.
To now I think I'm in the middle in a really good spot. You have to have you have to have filters, and you have to care what certain people think.
Right.
Because you can't just live your life caring, I think, going along without caring what anybody thinks, just like you can't care what everybody thinks. And so that's something that's really helped me. And then I've changed and grown and matured and accomplished more things as well. That's given me a lot of confidence. That I feel like I've got a much stronger track record now than what I had before. Even if I'm saying the same stuff, now I have more experience to validate me and what I've been through and what I've been saying and the things that I've been trying to teach, right? So before we get too far off track with that, one other thing that I also wanted to do, this podcast is going exactly the way my brain goes. It's like, we're going to do this. There's all these different things that we have to do. What I do want an update on your restarting this fitness thing consistently. How was your last week? So I think we covered, you weighed in like 251.
Excuse me. I got COVID right before Christmas, and one of the symptoms that still has lingered is like a weird itch. Like it just dries out, and then I have to cough. So I apologize in advance. I'm not coughing all over Connor. But I haven't really shared on social media too much because I have imposter syndrome right now. I went from someone who was constantly in the gym to Connor has to convince me to go to the gym. And I feel a little bit like an imposter. Like, why am I, even trying right now to share? But I do think there's so many people out there that are restarting. So many of people that I follow who are like, oh my God, it feels so good to see you doing this, to see you back in the gym. This last week was humbling. Food wise, like I'm just trying to eat clean overall. Physically, it's been humbling. I only worked out twice. On Monday, I was completely trashed after the workout. I mean, I was waddling for 2 days, which is what I hate doing. And what you don't like doing to clients. I know we've talked about this. And I wanted to go hard. Like, I know what my body's capable of, and I wanted to go hard. And I did. I did fairly well. Yesterday, I was in a really bad mood in class, and I had to check myself because I was starting to sound really whiny to myself. And I'm sure Connor was coaching, so I know he doesn't ever, well, unless it's really bad, you call me out. But you didn't really call me out. I could tell in your face. So I was like, okay, well, do what you can. You put yourself in this position. Now let's just work with what you have. And I had to really scale my workout. But it felt really good to be there and just get it done. And to be, Kelsey, I missed her. Like, one of the things I tell Connor is I'm nostalgic and I'm really missing the people that worked out with me all the time. And I think I need to realize that things are just going to change all the time. Not everyone who started your journey with you is going to be there 3 years later. I'm so sorry. My throat is so dry right now. But yeah, this was a tough week mentally, I think. Because I want to get comfortable and saying, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. And then my body just doesn't respond the same way. I mean, I was a chunky, fit girl. the workout we did yesterday, I could have pretty much worked through it and just chipped away. And yesterday, I mean, I went from like having a barbell that would have had weight on it to a 15-pound barbell. I did wall balls. I was surprised because I was like, oh, I can still do them. But I scaled the weight of the wall ball. And then I wasn't able to hang from the bar anymore like I used to. And that's going to make me emotional because that was such a huge accomplishment. Being able to hold my body up. And, but yeah, okay, that's where I'm at. Obviously, it's things that I'm really, it's nostalgic. It's just to remember where you were and to push yourself to get there again. It's hard. It's really hard. Really difficult.
I think
it only took 10 minutes.
Right. I know. I think I have a few things to add to this. One, people are constantly restarting. So your story is obviously relatable. People go through this all the time. And people don't start because they don't want to have to restart at some point. Because then you're faced with a failure. Then you're faced with, well, look where I used to be. And that's a very hard mountain for people to climb. And as a coach, as somebody that does this and sees this, number one, most important thing, don't fall off. If you don't ever stop, you never have to restart. And sometimes you have to be very lenient with yourself in that. Sometimes that means I took a week off. I didn't train for 10 days, 14 days. And then I trained again. I didn't fall off. It's okay. I didn't fall off. I had 10 days off. I had 2 weeks off. But I didn't fall off. I'm still going. People will go 6 days a week, miss 2 days, and be like, well, that's it. It's over. I fell off. People will train for 3 years. And something happens and they miss a week or they miss 2 weeks. I had a guy transformed like crazy in like 6 or 7 months. Absolutely crazy results. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought the guy was not natural. I mean, he just crushed it. Had a change at work. Had a change in his home life. Did a pause for a month. Did a pause for 2 months. Total ghost disappear. It's just not necessary. Yeah. In times like that, it's super important to remember you just have to do a little something to not totally fall off. Because falling off is one of the hardest things to come back from. This is a huge reason why when somebody injures themselves, they injure their elbow and they go, oh, can't train for a month. Doctor said I can't train for a month. And we're like, come to the gym anyway, and we'll find something for you to do that doesn't involve your elbow. Because if you take a month off, you may never come back. You may go another 12 years without training. You may never come back and start training. We had at Parkside, we had an elderly-ish guy, transformed like crazy over the course of 9 months, got off several medications, reversed the diabetes he was having, had toe surgery. Pause, which if you have surgery on a big toe, it can be a big deal, right? Goes, I need to take a month off. My doctor said I need to take a month off. I'm having this toe surgery. We're like, hey, totally get it. Come in on your crutches. Come in your walking boot. Sit there and we'll hand you weights. You know, there's something you can do, but get here twice a week. I'll be fine. I've transformed here. I've lost all this weight. I'm feeling better than I have. I need a month off. Never came back. Loved it. Was doing personal training, was bringing all his friends, spending all this money at the gym, buying all our apparel, coming to our events. Loved it. Thanked us for like saving his life. Thanked us for helping him make sure he was going to be there for his kids and grandkids and not die. Never came back.
I almost never came back, but you know.
And so that's why number one, that's why it's so important. It's so important to be so strict with yourself to go, if I don't go today, this could be the last time I ever go.
And I think it doesn't have to be the gym.
No,
Whether
it doesn't.
whatever someone does, walking.
It could be 4 minutes of something.
Yeah.
Be lenient with yourself in those cases. Like if you find yourself struggling to go and you're going to fall off, just do 3 minutes of sit-ups and say, I got my work in today. Because as long as you have some type of momentum, you can get back on track. But people go, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just, I'll do nothing for a week. It doesn't matter. Oh, well, I'll do nothing for absolutely nothing for the 4 minutes doesn't matter. Who cares? And then you never come back. So I've been blessed. I've been fortunate enough. Basically, I heard somebody say, I don't know who it was, but I was probably 12, 13. And somebody said to me, like I started training in 7th grade. So I was like 11 or 12. And then I had a couple periods where I fell off, came back on. And then I think I had a high school teacher that was like, hey, if you never fall off, you never have to restart. And at that moment, I was like, I am never going through this again. Ever. Ever. I don't care if I have cancerous tumor, which I had surgery at 13, missed 6 weeks of school, had to catch up on all that missed schoolwork. I don't care if I have a blood clot, detach my pec, 3 or 4 operations, 3 or 4 days in the hospital, barely remember that at all. I don't care if I have, it doesn't matter what happens. I am not falling off ever again. And eventually, I think you come to a point where you can't fall off. It's impossible to fall off. But I think if you don't decide that enough's enough, I'm never falling off again, then you can fall off. And you very well may fall off. And you may have a last workout. And that's a really sad thing to think about. Think of how many people have a last workout. And not because they died, but they might have been training 2, 3, 4 years. It's kind of like, think about it this way. There was the last time your mom picked you up. She picked you up to hold you or carry you somewhere, and she put you down, and she never picked you up ever again the rest of your life. And nobody knows when that last time was, the last time your mom or dad picked you up. And there's a lot of people that are going around and have no idea that this time I came to the gym was the last time I ever went to the gym. Because I fell off after, which is why I tell people, you have to do the training. You have to do something. Like you can't go, oh, it's not, whatever, I'll miss today. You can't. It has to be almost like a life or death thing. Like my fitness life could literally be ruined by missing one workout. And that's how it starts with everybody. Falling off starts by missing once. Literally, it starts by missing once. One time. Never go back. Like, you basically missed one workout, and that turned into 50 pounds. What's easier to fix? Forcing that one workout to work that day. Staying up late, not getting enough sleep, moving things around, sitting in traffic, having a terrible, horrible time to get that workout in, or fixing it after gaining 50 pounds. Rhetorical question. We all know the answer.
Right. No, we all know the answer, but it's something that we talked about recently, which was maybe even kind of a...
We're going to go back now to what we were going to talk about.
What we're actually going to talk about was...
This is a good lead-in.
At the last podcast, we talked about, Connor said, you just have to do something. And I said, well, what if it's a trauma response? One of the topics Connor and I have talked even just as friends is... I suffer from when I'm depressed, when I'm down on myself, when I've gained 50 pounds, I don't want to do anything. And it's depression, not where I'm like, oh, I'm going to go do something today. It's depression where I want to shut out the whole world. I have pretty much, I told Leslie, I've disappeared. If I disappear from social media, something's wrong. I'm not okay. I'm in hiding. I'm a hermit. I'm not working out. I'm not active. So I go from one extreme to the other. And that's what scares me. And at least for me, at this time in my journey, this time around, I said to myself, you need to find balance. Not where it's all in or all out. There has to be a middle ground. And I've always had an issue with a middle ground. It's all in or all out. And again, we go back to a trauma response. But that was the question I asked Connor. What if it's a trauma response? What if just what's the word I'm looking for? What if just you freeze and you just don't do anything? It's debilitating and you can't even get up to go work out.
There's a lot to unpack there. A lot. And because we're sticking these to 30 minutes, we're probably going to have to bleed podcast 1 into podcast 3, which totally okay because we're going to do like 10,000 of these. To answer your question, what if it's a trauma response? I would say for a lot of people, so what we're talking about, falling off, not doing anything, not helping yourself.
And then beating yourself up.
Right, yeah.
Because you've fallen off.
There's so much to unpack there. I mean, we could do hundreds of hours of podcasts on just that stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is a trauma response to people. You know, it's lack of self-esteem, it's lack of having control in your life, lack of inability to cope with stress, to deal with anxiety, to handle the things that are going on in your life. And what I say to that is habit 1 of 7 habits is be proactive. And what that fundamentally means, if we strip away everything that Paola is, everything that Paola believes, Hispanic, likes, whatever you like, your life, your beliefs.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, well, no, I know a lot of things. I was just going to put you on blast, but I'm not going to for now. Whatever Paola, the essence of Paola, what makes you, we start stripping that away. We start stripping away the things you like. We start stripping away the things you believe. And we get down to the core. The core of your first belief in life, if you're going to be left with one, needs to be that you are in charge of you. It has to be. You decide what you do. Maybe you can't always decide how you feel, but you are in charge of you. And if you're, there's probably a more elegant way to say this, but if you're a vegetable, quadriplegic, you aren't in charge. But if you are a mostly intact human being, you are in charge of you. Always. If you do not believe that, you're in a really rough spot. And that's the first thing that you need to believe. You are in charge. You are a computer and the programmer. You are a script and the writer. You are the director of your movie. Stuff doesn't always go your way. Not everything. You don't have control over lots of stuff. You don't have control over tsunamis. Like there's the tsunami watch going on right now. There are many things in life that you don't have control over, but you must master being in control of yourself. That's step 1. That's the most basic human skill there is. The dog, not in control of herself. Lions, humans are so in control of themselves, they cannot eat in protest to die. Like they can starve themselves to death. There's nothing else that can willingly starve itself to death. We have unimaginable control over ourselves that we don't exercise. Go.
No, I wanted to I wanted to give some context where because people ask like, well, what happened
to you?
Yes, and
like
we talk about
what caused you to gain the 50
yes,
pounds
and then you asked, you're in charge of yourself. You're in charge of your well, you're not in charge of your emotions.
No, hold on, you need to be. Not that you are, but that you're working every day to do it. And this isn't something that you're just born with. And I get real pissed at people that think, oh, that person is that way because they were born that way. And I'm the way I am because I was born that way. It's not true. There's a compounding interest going on. You know the power of compound interest, right? You put money in the market, it doubles every 7 years. You cannot save your way to be rich. You have to invest your money and it grows. It's unbelievable how much your money can grow when you invest it. The miracle of compound interest. You get compound interest when you work on yourself every day. If you work a little bit on yourself every day, it's like making a deposit into an investment account and you get returns. And the more you invest, the greater returns you get. If you never invest, if you never save for retirement, if you never put money in the 401k, do you just look 10 years later and all of a sudden you have a 401k with millions in it? No, everybody starts with zero in the 401k. But the person that makes $100 deposit a month is going to be a millionaire. Maybe not 100, but you're depositing $200-$300 a month. You could be a millionaire in 30 or 40 years. The person that goes, I don't have any money, and then 40 years later expects to have money. It's the same thing when working on yourself. If there's something going on in your life that you don't like, that's unfavorable to you, you have to make the deposit into yourself. And you might think, well, I need $1 million. And that starts by investing your first dollar. It doesn't start with nobody starts with 950,000 in this scenario. Everybody starts with zero. And it's the people that go, I'm going to invest 100 and 100 and 100 and 100 and 100 that wake up and go, I have $2 million. I have $3 million. And it's the same thing when working on yourself. So it's not about, oh, this person's just different than me. There are lots of people that are just different than you, but there are a lot of people that have acquired amazing things through nothing but a daily deposit. Every single day, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And people that don't work on themselves look at that person and then go, oh, they're just different than me. No, they put in thousands of hours of work that you didn't. And it's the same thing when it comes to getting control of you. Convince yourself, give yourself near mental illness, believing that you are in charge of your life, even if that's not totally true. Because there are things that I'm not in control of. There are things that you're not in control of. But I choose to believe every day that I am in control of me, 100% control of me, 100%. And if you want to be successful in your fitness journey, if you want to have balance, if you want to achieve great things in life, you have to be in control of you. So if you choose to lay in bed all day because you're sad, you chose that. And sometimes that's okay. Believe me, if my mom dies, I'm going to spend a lot of time in bed. I would be choosing that.
No, and I agree.
It wouldn't be getting forced on me.
What I wanted to include was that, let's say, for me, what changed was July of 2020.
Okay. So we're going to stop there.
No, we're not.
No, hold on. No, you don't need to say it. We're going to stop there. Okay. And then we're going to pick this up on podcast 3.
Okay.
Again, we have a hard time limit here. So, Paola, thank you for joining me on the podcast today. And thank you everybody for listening. We will be back. We'll continue this conversation. Please follow, share, like, subscribe. Everything, get the word out. Yep. Somebody that may need to hear this. We really just want to help people. And that's it. So we'll see you on the next episode.